Hello, I'm Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz, April 7, 2018, 11:33 p.m., Birmingham. Guys, I have got a series of just news spots that is important, and with everything so bad, I can only title this Hope is What We Have. And let me just give you some of these things. You know about the group of people that's coming, and there's a group of people from our country that's there talking them into coming from countries like Salvador and Guatemala to our country, telling them if you get there, then they'll have to take you. Guys, this will cost you and I a fortune. We already pay a tremendous, in tens of billions yearly on people that are sitting in jail and that commit crimes out the yin yang. There's a lot of good people. The good ones work, but look how many of them do not. And the ones who do, they don't have any taxes taken out of the check. They send it home. But then you have all these coming. Well, it's Trump. He's damned if he doesn't do anything. He's damned if he does. This is the media. They're going to condemn him regardless of what he does or does not do. So I say the heck with them. They are the ones that's creating these problems. The lying media. I promise you, their agenda is not the same as ours. Their agenda is the New World Order, the same as the establishment. This is why the establishment is rising like a friggin' nightmare that's not backing off, that are still trying to make things hellish here in our country. And of course, around the world, they're going through the same things in different ways. But it's all about handing this country over to the UN on a silver platter. They're not stopping until it's done. But let me tell you this, it's not going to happen until God is done. Period. They're sacrificing babies that are unborn. This makes Lucifer happy. They're happy. They're sacrificing babies that are born and then killing it on the altar. And from babies up to young adults, they're doing this. And it's not done seldom. It's done every cotton picking day. Very often, every day somewhere it is done. They sacrifice a live being to Baal. And they'll do it every single day. And this is why Trump refused to any longer support and give money to the Planned Parenthood to end the abortion in our country. He has destroyed the altar of Baal by doing so. When they would sacrifice a person, they would have a room full, and it didn't matter, up to 30 men at a time would have sex with that person. And then kill them. And not only that, there's one girl that there's a lot of people, there's some that will sit there and tell you, not only that, they'll take an electric knife and they'll shave tiny pieces off of it, and they will pass it around the room and they'll eat that baby until it dies. All kinds of horrible things they continue to do. This is Baal. This is Pizzagate, John Podesta kinds of BS. But that's not all. There's more. Here's a real shocker. You remember the other day when YouTube, somebody blasted in there, was shooting them up? It was all over MSNBC, ABC, CBS, CNN, everywhere, all over. Nessim Agdam, all over the place. You have a white man shooting people until they found out, it was a woman and she was Muslim. And her religion was Islam. was not a white man. So all of a sudden, they did not make one more mention of it on the news. You only heard it on Fox. After they found out it was a Muslim woman, Nassim Agdam, they stopped. Period. It was over. Since it was not a white man doing it, it was not newsworthy to them. All right, let's move on to something else. You know this little Alexa, this thing that you sit in the room and say, Alexa, it's electronic device. It reacts to your command. It's plugged up to the computer and it's wireless. Turn on my computer. Alexa will turn on the computer. Turn on the lights in the den. Turn them on. Dampen the lights. It'll turn them down a little bit. Hey, let's hear if the baby's okay. You got one in the room and you listen to the baby's crying. Well, guess what? Every time you make a command, Alexa, you are copied. It is written down. It is typed down. It is recorded, and it's stored on a Google data bank that gives to the federal government of the United States. And not only the federal government, but the world government body. Listen to this. Go to Breitbart, April 5th, 2018. 8 p.m. last night, I sat there and listened to it, a forum in New Orleans, Louisiana, called Big Tech, Free Speech, and Culture, and Other People on the Stage. And I could not believe what I was reading, or actually what I was hearing. They were talking about it. Let's go somewhere else. Let's go to a residents of Illinois Village have 60 days to surrender guns or face $1,000 a day fine. Oh, did you hear that? $1,000 a day fine. Residents of Illinois. Let's go to Deerfield, Illinois. 60 days to turn in their assault weapons or face fines up to $1,000 a day. Earlier this week, the Village Board of Trustees passed an ordinance which bans certain types of assault weapons in large capacity magazines, but get this, including the Ruger 1022. This is a .22 rifle. A .22. But yet they consider that an assault weapon. And any semi-automatic pistols that hold up to 10 rounds is considered illegal. They will take them off for you. Law enforcement and retired law enforcement members of the community are exempt from the ban. Thank goodness I come under that category. Residents will have to either sell their weapons or transfer ownership to someone living outside the town. But that's not what's going to happen. What's going to happen is nobody is going to obey the law. Everybody will keep their guns. Then those who made those laws have a fight on their hand. And guess what? The residents will keep their guns. That's what I see coming. Let's go on. Here's one more. This one. And this is the one we all need to keep our eyes and ears wide open for because its war is imminent. And this is reported in Israel, April 6, 2018. On a regular basis, I have conversations with Israelis. This is the Golden Report. In the know, to a man, they all believe war will break out this summer in Israel. Guys, we're talking about 2 or 3 months away. The concern is no longer just 200,000 missiles Hezbollah has amassed in Lebanon and Syria on the Gaza, and the Hamas military is constantly preparing for the coming war with their missiles and tunnels. Remember all those little tunnels they keep building? We have now Russia, Turkey, and Iran meeting in Ankara, Turkey, deciding how to defeat Israel and divide up the spoil of war left behind, get this, Syria. They didn't say the spoil of war in Israel. They said the spoil left behind in Syria. So they meet over here to find out how to defeat Israel while dividing up the spoil left behind in Syria. So they want to destroy Syria now. Iran is building their former or their military bases in Syria next to the new Russian bases there, knowing it puts the United States and Israel in a difficult position, figuring out that any attack on these Iranian bases would also kill Russians. Well, that's already happened, guys. That's late. Remember when Israel took out that drone and then went in and took out 4 places in Syria? They killed a bunch of Russians. They were like America's Blackwater. That's who they were. That's who they took out. A bunch of them. And I don't mean 2 or 3. I mean 30 or 40. Well, now you go over and they took out 8 places in Iran in the same manner. Took out a bunch of batteries that had all these drones set up to shoot toward Israel. Well, now Putin has now agreed and has begun to build a nuclear plant in Turkey. See, they're 1,622 miles away from Jerusalem, and they can move closer and closer by doing things like this. Keep also in mind, the majority of the people in Russia that wants to go against Israel, they're Muslim. I still don't believe that Putin will personally go against Israel because he knows what the Bible says. I don't believe Putin will sit on the banks of the Black Sea and have drinks while they're bombing Israel, because at the same time he thinks they're doing that, or anybody thinks they're doing that, Israel's God had destroyed them in one single night. When the morning time came, it was over. Remember that, and Putin knows that. So keep in mind, they're our clock. They're our time clock. Hamas is losing its grip over the Palestinian people in Gaza, being unable to govern or keep the electricity on for more than 3 or 4 hours a day. And you just go on down the line. Keep going. And the question has not been addressed to what happens to Israelis, and the 30,000 were allowed to come across the border instead of the 18 dead terrorists that would have thousands dead in Israel. In other words, they're complaining about the thousands they attacked that didn't kill anyone, but the 18 terrorists that attacked them died. That's their claim. And the UN agrees with them. The Jews are just pushing everybody around. Well, screw them. Excuse my French. Guys, these are just some of the news, and there's so much more like this. And we can only look for one thing, and that's hope. Really, that's hope. But let me remind you, the last blog, a lot of people are saying that it's about to erupt in the Antarctica. And they're talking about these angels coming out. Well, they're supposed to be in the cracks and crevices of these Antarctica, and there's this massive amount of block of ice. But yet, there's a lot of activity going on that's unknown to us over here. There are people talking about it. You see a lot of blogs on it. But don't look at them for when it starts. You look at Israel for Ezekiel 38 and 39. That is the begin of it. That starts it. So go to Golden Report. Jerry Golden, he has great reports about now and what's going on in Israel with Hamas and the rest of these guys. And when you see the activity going on in the Antarctica, well, when you see movement there, it's actually just about a day too late because it's already happened in Israel. That's why you keep your eyes on Israel. You say your prayers and stand with Israel. And God promises you, I'll stand with you in that day that you stood with my people. These are some of the things that's going on. And it's not good anywhere, but keep your eyes upon Israel. When you see that happens there, then a lot of you prepare to go up, and the others better cover your heads. Jody Wolf Expoz.